have you ever like really stopped to think about what you're putting on your skin?
Yeah.
Every single day? Or maybe just the magic of actually creating something useful, something beautiful with your own hands.
Hmm.
Today we're doing a deep dive into, well, the wonderful world of soap making for beginners. Natural ingredients and simple techniques.
Yeah, exactly. We got these fantastic notes and guides from one of our listeners, our learner, who wants practical know-how fast. So our mission today is basically to pull out the key bits, demystify the whole thing, and show you how accessible and honestly, how rewarding this craft can be, whether it's just for you or for gifts or maybe even just a new creative outlet.
That sounds amazing. I mean, imagine. No more weird ingredients you can't pronounce, right? Complete control. And just that satisfaction,
Yeah.
making something yourself. Okay, let's unpack this journey into, what, self-sufficiency and creativity.
Absolutely. And the core benefits really do stand out. You get total control over ingredients. That's huge if you have sensitive skin or just want to avoid, harsh chemicals. Plus, it's this incredible creative space. Colors, scents, textures, you can play around endlessly. And it ties into that whole natural living idea too, moving away from synthetic detergents and those artificial fragrances and so many store-bought soaps.
And the source material really drives that home. The author talks about how their skin just felt better, like it was thanking them after they switched. No more dryness, no irritation. They even said their bathroom turned into this like rainbow of homemade soaps. And I love this quote. Your first batch won't be perfect, but it will be yours. That's the beauty of handmade soap. It kind of reminds me of baking, Your first loaf might be wonky, but it's yours. Does that feeling wear off, even for
Yeah.
pros?
Honestly, not really. There's this meditative quality to it. It really demands your focus, your precision, which can be a fantastic way to just switch off from everything else. And the
Yeah.
joy of making personalized gifts, it's huge. Imagine like a calming lavender soap for a stressed friend or maybe an energizing citrus one for your brother. People really appreciate that thought. They often treasure those kinds of gifts.
Okay, but for a lot of people, the idea of soap making sounds maybe a bit scary, especially the safety part. What's the biggest hurdle people worry about? Is it the lye?
That's definitely the main one, yeah. It's a common concern. But here's the thing. Soap making is safe, completely safe. But you absolutely have to follow the safety precautions. It's non-negotiable. Lye, or sodium hydroxide, is essential for the traditional methods. It sounds intimidating, I get it, but it's manageable with the right gear. We're talking heavy-duty gloves, proper safety goggles, the kind that seal around your eyes and long sleeves. Always. And ventilation is key. Open those windows wide, use an exhaust fan if you have one. Lye reacting with water creates heat and fumes, and you really don't want to breathe those in.
Right. And critically, keep kids and pets completely out of the area. Yeah. Especially when the lye is out. That feels super important.
Oh, absolutely crucial. And the golden rule, always add the lye slowly to the water. Never, ever pour water onto lye. That prevents dangerous splashing and overheating. It can get quite hot. Now, if handling lies still makes you nervous, and that's totally understandable for a beginner, the source points to the melt and pour method as the perfect starting point. It uses pre-made bases where the lye part, the saponification, that's the chemical magic, turning oils into soap, is already done. So it takes all that stress away. Really easy entry point.
Okay, so that makes sense. If you're thinking about starting then, which method is actually right for you?
Good question. There are really three main ways to go about it, each with its own personality, you could say. First, there's cold process. That's the traditional way. You get total control over every single ingredient. But it needs patience. You're looking at a 4 to 6 week curing time before the soap is ready. It makes really lovely, long-lasting bars. Skill-wise, it's more intermediate.
4 to 6 weeks. Okay, so real patience needed there.
Exactly. Then you've got hot process. This one speeds things up using heat, usually in a dedicated slow cooker. The saponification happens faster, so the soap is ready sooner, maybe 1 to 2 weeks of curing. It tends to have a more rustic look. Think beginner plus to intermediate skill.
Okay.
And finally, melt and pour. This is the super beginner-friendly one. You use those pre-made bases. It sets up in just a few hours, and there's zero curing time needed. Pure instant gratification, really.
The notes you sent laid out a nice little comparison table. So beyond the tools, what's the biggest difference someone should weigh up when choosing? Is it just time?
Time is a big part of it, yeah. And how involved you want to be with the actual chemistry. Cold process, medium to high time commitment. You need that specific gear like the immersion blender and scale. Definitely intermediate skill.
Yeah.
Hot process, medium time. Need that slow cooker, maybe beginner plus. But melt and pour, low time commitment. Basic kitchen stuff you probably already own. Truly for the absolute beginner. Easiest way to just try it out.
Okay, so before anyone rushes out, let's talk tools. What are the absolute must-haves for a beginner?
Right. Tools. Number one, non-negotiable. A digital kitchen scale. Soap making is like baking meats. Chemistry precision is everything. Get one that measures in both ounces and grams, down to maybe 0.1 ounce or 1 gram accuracy.
Okay, super precise.
Yep. Then you need dedicated containers for your lye solution. Heat-resistant glass or specific heat-safe plastic, only for soap. An immersion blender or stick blender, highly recommended. It gets you to trace that thickening point in minutes instead of like ages of stirring by hand.
Trace, right. We'll come back to that.
Yeah. Then silicone or wooden molds, a reliable thermometer measuring spoons, spatulas, and again, can't stress enough, safety gear. Gloves, goggles, long sleeves.
And this is so important. You mentioned dedicated tools. Never, ever use your regular cooking spoons or bowls for soap. Keep it all totally separate. Food safety first. Plus, you need space for curing, right? For the cold and hot processed soaps.
Exactly. A dedicated shelf or area, well ventilated, where those bars can just sit undisturbed for weeks. Let them harden up, get milder.
Got it. So,
Yeah.
moving on to the fun stuff. The ingredients.
Yeah.
What makes natural soap feel so different?
Yes, the ingredients. It's fascinating how each one brings something unique to the final bar. You can really customize. Let's look at some common ones. Olive oil, often the workhorse, makes a really gentle, moisturizing soap. Great if you have sensitive skin. Coconut oil, that's your lather and hardness booster. But here's a key tip from the source. Don't go overboard. Too much coconut oil can actually be drying, so the notes suggest keeping it around, say, 25 to 30% of your oils for a nice balance.
Interesting, finding that balance.
Exactly. For a bit of luxury, shea butter or cocoa butter, they add amazing conditioning properties. Creamy, soothing, perfect for dry skin. Castor oil used just a little bit, it really amps up the bubbles, the lather. Then scent. Essential oils are popular. Lavender, peppermint, sweet orange, good choices, generally skin-friendly. Just be aware some essential oils can speed up trace, make your soap thicken faster than you expect.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
And finally, additives. Things like clays add a silky texture, maybe some gentle exfoliation. Activated charcoal gives you those dramatic black bars. People say it's detoxifying. Or dried herbs like lavender buds or calendula petals for visual appeal. Maybe a tiny bit of scrubbiness.
Okay, so lots of possibilities there. Let's dive deeper into the cold process method then. You said it's traditional, where a lot of people end up.
Yes, cold process. It gives you the most control. First things first. Safety gear on, ventilation sorted. Measure everything precisely with that digital scale. Then, the lye solution. Slowly, carefully, add the lye to your distilled water. Impurities in tap water can cause issues. Stir gently until it dissolves. It'll get hot, so give it space. Let it cool down to about 110 degrees Fahrenheit, roughly.
Okay, measuring and careful mixing.
Parallel to that, you prepare your oils. Melt any solid oils like coconut or shea butter gently. Then add your liquid oils like olive oil. Let this oil mixture also cool down to around 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Ideally, your lye water and your oils should be within about 10 degrees of each other when you combine them. That helps ensure a smooth process.
Temperature matching, got it.
Right. Then slowly pour the lye water into the oils. Start stirring immediately, then switch to your immersion blender. Use short burst blend for a bit, stir for a bit. You're watching for trace. That's when the mixture thickens up, maybe like thin pudding. If you lift the blender and drizzle some mixture on the surface, it should leave a visible trail or trace for a moment before sinking back in.
Okay. So that's trace.
That's trace. Usually takes 5, maybe 10 minutes with the stick blender. Once you hit trace, stop blending. Now you can stir in your essential oils and any other additives like clays or herbs. Mix gently, then pour the whole thing into your prepared mold. Tap the mold gently on the counter to get rid of air bubbles. Cover it up maybe with cardboard and a towel to insulate, and let it sit undisturbed for 24 to 48 hours. This is the saponification phase.
Okay.
After that time, it should be firm enough to unmold. Carefully take it out, cut it into bars if you used a loaf mold. And then comes the patience part again. Arrange the bars on a drying rack with space between them, and let them cure for 4 to 6 weeks in that well-ventilated spot. This curing makes them milder, harder, and last much longer. It's crucial for good cold process soap.
Okay, 4 to 6 weeks. Definitely a commitment.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want something faster, you mentioned melt and pour. That sounds like the complete opposite.
It really is. Melt and pour is all about speed and simplicity. The biggest advantage. No handling lye yourself. You buy these pre-made soap bases, clear glycerin, white goat milk, shea butter base, tons of options. The hard chemistry work is already done.
So you just melt it.
Pretty much. You just need basic stuff.
Yeah.
A microwave-safe bowl or pitcher, a spoon or spatula, and your molds. For a small batch, say you take a pound of melt and pour base. Cut it into small, even cubes, maybe 1 inch. Pop them in your container, microwave on medium or in short 30-second bursts, stirring in between each one. The key is to melt it gently. Don't let it boil or bubble over.
Right, gentle melting.
Once it's smooth and totally liquid, take it out. Let it cool just slightly too hot and your essential oils might evaporate. Then stir in your chosen essential oils, maybe 10-15 drops per pound. You can also add skin-safe colorants or small amounts of additives like fine glitter or dried petals. Make sure they're heat-tolerant, though. Mix well, but gently, to avoid too many bubbles. Then quickly pour it into your molds.
And it just...
Yep. If you get little air bubbles on top, a quick spritz of rubbing alcohol right after pouring usually makes them vanish. And just leave it alone. It'll harden up completely in maybe 1 to 2 hours at room temperature, sometimes quicker in the fridge, though that can cause sweating later. Once it's hard, pop it out of the mold, and ta-da! It's ready to use immediately. No curing needed.
Wow, that's fast.
Super fast, instant gratification. One little tip, though. Melt and pour soap contains glycerin, which attracts moisture from the air. So if you're not using the bars right away, wrap them tightly in plastic wrap to prevent them getting kind of dewy or sweaty.
Good tip. Okay, so cold process needs patience. Melt and pour is instant.
Yeah.
What about that middle ground, hot process?
Ah, yes, hot process. It kind of blends elements of both. You use the same ingredients as cold process oils, lye, water, so you still get that control over ingredients.
Yeah.
But the key difference is you cook the soap to speed up the saponification. You'll need a slow cooker for this, and it must be dedicated only to soap making. Never use it for food afterward.
Right, dedicated cooker. Got it.
So you start just like cold process. Safety gear on, measure precisely, make your lye solution, prepare your oils, combine them, stick blend until you reach trace. But instead of pouring it into a mold at trace, you pour the trace soap batter into your slow cooker, set it to low heat, and put the lid on.
Okay, so you cook the trace soap. What happens then?
Now comes the interesting part, the cooking phase. You let it cook on low for about 45 to 60 minutes. You need to stir it gently every 15 minutes or so, and you'll actually see the soap go through stages. It'll puff up, maybe look like it's separating, then collapse back down. It might look like mashed potatoes or applesauce. Eventually, it should start to look kind of translucent, almost like Vaseline or petroleum jelly, especially around the edges. That gel-like appearance is the sign that saponification is complete. The lye has been fully used up.
Wow, okay. You can actually see the chemistry happening.
You really can. Once it reaches that Vaseline stage, turn off the heat. Let it cool down just a bit, still warm but not piping hot. Then stir in your essential oils and any heat-tolerant additives. You have to work fairly quickly here because hot process soap tends to thicken up fast as it cools. Then you spoon it into your molds. It won't be smooth and liquid like cold process or melt and pour. It's thicker, more textured. So hot process soaps often have a more rustic, less polished look.
Okay, rustic look. And the benefit is speed.
Speed is the main advantage, yes. Because it's already cooked and saponified, it's technically safe to use much sooner. You let it cool and harden in the mold for 24-48 hours. Then you can unmold and cut it. While it's usable then, letting it cure for another week or two helps it harden further and last longer in the shower. But definitely much faster than cold process. Great for a weekend project where you want usable soap relatively quickly.
Makes sense. Now, inevitably, things sometimes go wrong, right? Even for people who've done it before. What are some common hiccups?
Oh, absolutely. Troubleshooting is part of the learning curve. The source notes cover a few common ones, like soft or mushy soap. This usually means something was off in your measurements, maybe not enough lye, or too much water, or maybe too high a percentage of soft oils like olive oil in your recipe.
Okay, how do you fix that?
Well, first, try letting it cure longer. Sometimes an extra few weeks, even up to 8 weeks total, can help it harden. If it's really soft, you might need to rebatch it, basically grating it up, melting it down gently with a tiny bit of extra liquid, maybe adding some hard oils and remolding it. It's a bit of a rescue mission. The best fix is prevention. Always, always use a reliable online soap calculator. You plug in your specific oils and their amounts, and it tells you the exact amount of lye and water needed. Double check your measurements.
Soap calculator. Okay, essential tool. What else?
Soda ash. That's that white powdery film that can form on the surface of cold processed soap. It looks weird, but it's harmless. It's just unsaponified lye reacting with carbon dioxide in the air. You can prevent it sometimes by covering your freshly poured soap tightly with plastic wrap touching the surface, or by spritzing the top with 99% isopropyl alcohol right after pouring. If you get it anyway, just wash it off with water, or sometimes steaming it lightly makes it disappear. No big deal.
Okay, easy fix.
Then there's seizing. That's when your soap batter thickens up incredibly fast, sometimes almost solidifying in the pot right after you add fragrance.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it can be alarming. It's often caused by certain fragrance oils or essential oils, florals, spices. Sometimes citrus can be culprits.
Outro.
To prevent it, know your fragrances. Some suppliers note if they accelerate trace. Have everything measured and ready before you start. Maybe work at slightly cooler temperatures. And crucially, when you add a known accelerator, stir it in gently by hand. Don't use the stick blender at that point.
Hand stir for tricky scents.
Okay. Discoloration is another one. Some ingredients, especially vanilla and fragrance oils, can turn your soap brown over time. Use a vanilla color stabilizer if you want to prevent that. Some colorants also fade in the high pH of soap, so do a little research or test batch if color stability is important.
Right.
And finally, scent fading. You make this beautifully scented soap, and a few weeks later, the smell is gone.
Yeah, disappointing.
That happens. Some light scents, especially citrus essential oils, are notoriously fleeting in cold process soap. You might need to use a higher amount or choose stronger, more tenacious essential oils. Anchoring scents with base notes like patchouli or cedarwood can help, or adding clay to your recipe is thought to help fix the scent. Interestingly, melt and pour soap generally holds on to fragrance much better than cold process.
Lots of little tricks to learn. Okay, let's talk money. Is this actually a cost-effective hobby? What's the initial investment like?
Good question. Let's break it down. For cold process, your initial essentials of decent stick blender, an accurate scale, some basic molds, safety gear, thermometer, you're probably looking at somewhere between, say, $75 and $150 for reasonably good quality stuff that will last. You can find starter kits too, sometimes for $25 to $45, which often include pre-measured ingredients for a first batch, which is nice.
Okay, so there's an upfront cost for the gear. What about ongoing costs, the ingredients?
Right, the ongoing supplies for cold process. A typical batch making maybe 10 average-sized bars, you're probably looking at roughly $15 to $25 for the oils, lye, essential oils, etc. So that works out to about $1.50, $2 to $2.50 per bar. When you compare that to buying handmade natural soap at a market or boutique, where they often cost $6, even $12 a bar, the savings are pretty significant over time.
Wow, yeah, that is quite a difference. What about melt and pour?
Melt and pour often works out slightly more expensive per bar, maybe $2 to $3, because the pre-made base costs more than raw oils and lye. But your initial equipment cost is way lower. You probably already have a microwave, a heat-proof pitcher, spoons, so it's cheaper to just get started and try it out.
Makes sense. And where do people usually buy this stuff?
For beginners, the note suggests looking at specialized online soap-making suppliers. Places like Brambleberry, Wholesale Supplies Plus, Bulk Apothecary, they cater to hobbyists and have good quality ingredients and lots of resources. And hey, to save money, especially at the start, get creative. You can repurpose things. Clean milk cartons or sturdy yogurt containers can work as molds initially. Thrift stores are great for finding dedicated spoons, spatulas, maybe even a pot for melting oils. Just remember, once it's for soap, it's only for soap.
Great tips for starting on a budget.
Yeah.
So we've gone from just wondering about soap ingredients to potentially having a whole new rewarding hobby.
Absolutely. And that feeling of creation, it really doesn't get old. There's always something new to try, a different oil blend, a new scent combination, swirling techniques, endless experimentation. And it's more than just making soap for yourself. Sharing it is wonderful. People really notice the difference compared to commercial bars. They often feel gentler, more moisturizing. Friends might comment on how nice their skin feels. It connects you.
It really sounds like it could become more than just a hobby for some people, couldn't it? Maybe even a little side business.
It definitely could. People sell handmade soap at local farmers markets, craft fairs, online, on platforms like Etsy. There's a real appreciation for natural, handcrafted goods.
But I guess you need to be careful about rules and regulations then.
Oh, absolutely. That's crucial. If you start selling or even making certain claims about your soap, like saying it treats a skin condition, then you fall under cosmetic regulations. That means specific labeling requirements, maybe good manufacturing practices. You definitely need to research the regulations in your specific country and region before you even think about selling. It's important to do it right and safely.
Good point. Compliance is key. So, wrapping up, what's the final thought we want to leave our listener with?
I think it's that soap making is really more than just following a recipe.
Yeah.
It's kind of a nod to self-sufficiency, isn't it? A celebration of natural ingredients. And it's a way to bring a little bit of mindfulness, a bit of hands-on creativity into your everyday routine, turning basic ingredients into something beautiful and useful. So maybe the question for you is, what new traditions, what moments of creativity could you start just by deciding to make something with your own two hands?